New York, New York, what's up, New York? Listen, we in New York, right? This is hip hop. This is hip hop.
Welcome to another episode of Crash the Industry, and today we're shining the spotlight on my brother Mark Bayani Tidioso, a Brooklyn-born, Staten Island-raised hip-hop artist and a visionary creator of the realest Bayani comic book series. Inspired by his late cousin, Marlon Ramos, Bayani's series follows a vigilante discovering powers rooted in his ancestral connection to the legendary war chief Lapu Lapu. Since debuting his issue 1 at New York Comic Con in 2018, Bayani has captivated audiences and is now launching the 6th issue on Kickstarter. Beyond his storytelling, Bayani also makes waves in music as one of the artists on the hit single Wet Bar. Get ready to dive into the journey and discover how he's redefining creativity across multiple industries. And welcome, my brother Bayani. What's going on, Pop?
What's going on, Shy? How's
you
everything,
doing?
bro? No, I'm doing great, man.
Good.
Just ready for the new year, you know?
Yeah. So, like I said to you when you walked in, I said we came a long way from 116th.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been a journey.
Yeah, truly.
I've been following your journey, and everything you've been doing is like amazing, balancing the life, dad, music, comics. So your comic series, The Realest Bayani, is inspired by your late cousin in Filipino history. If you could bring one character from this series to life, who would it be and why?
I would definitely bring Lapu Lapu to life.
Okay.
I feel like we don't see warriors of his kind, you know, in this day and era.
Okay.
You know?
You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
So Lapu Lapu is a war chief from pre-colonial Philippines. So before the Spanish had taken over the Philippines, there was a war chief that stood against the foreign enemy of the Spanish.
Okay.
So before they colonized it, Lapu Lapu was a war chief that refused to be converted to Catholicism.
So he stood tall on, I'm sticking to my roots and I'm not switching to yours.
Exactly.
That's a beautiful thing. You know, a lot of people convert from different countries and backgrounds, so that's a good thing that he stood on that. And that's dope that you will bring him back. So how does your upbringing in Brooklyn and Staten Island influence your creativity process as both a comic book author, creator, and an artist?
Repeat that again?
How does your upbringing in Brooklyn and Staten Island influence your creative process as both a comic book creator and a hip-hop artist?
It's like a real beautiful kind of edge to how I was raised. Being born and raised in Brooklyn, it gave me that understanding of principles, you know, codes that I would live by and carry, you know, through my, you know, childhood to adulthood. And, you know, being from Brooklyn and, you know, also being adopted in Staten Island because I transitioned around 99, you know, in my high school years. It was dope to see how different and similar two boroughs could be, you know?
Yeah, they have their differences and the similarities.
Yeah.
So, like, what's some of the similarities that they both have?
I mean, we're connected by a bridge, the Verrazano.
Okay.
So, you know, a lot of the migration of Brooklyn natives do find themselves in Staten Island, whether they want to avoid the congestion or, you know, they want a better environment to raise their kids in, you know. Some of the similarities would be, you know, being a New York borough, you know what I'm saying? But it's just beautiful because you get to see like a suburban style of New York, you know, that you wouldn't, you know, naturally see in Brooklyn because everything's like
on top of each
yeah,
other.
it's gridlocked. It's just like a certain type of, you know, environment that you're raised in.
Oh, definitely, definitely. So, If you could collaborate with any historical figure, either in music or with your comics, who would it be and what would the project look like?
If I could collaborate with any historical figure, wow. I think I would want to work with, of course, Stan Lee. You know, historically, you know, I mean, he's one of the founders and creators and innovators of, you know, Marvel Comics. Just to pick his brain, you know, I mean, he came from a time where, you know, he's seen the ups and downs of the industry. You know, he definitely adapted to the consumers, you know, the consumerism of comic books, and, you know, later evolved into the film industry, you know. So that would be somebody I would definitely love to collaborate, you know, some of my creations with. He didn't really create a Filipino character in his time.
Okay, yeah. He was a great mind. I don't know how much you followed him, because I was a big fan of his. I've met Stan Lee in person. The first time I met Stan Lee was a class trip. We went into the building, and we get off on their floor, and like these glass windows, it's a glass door, and it had a big spider web on it.
Wow.
And they gave us the run through and how I got on that class trip, because before I got stabbed in the hand, I was a great artist.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I used to draw, and I won an art competition in my school, and I was a part of the trip.
This is high school?
Junior high school.
Junior, wow.
Like sixth grade, fifth grade actually, fifth grade. So right before I switched over to my main junior high school. So I used to draw, and I won a competition, and they even, I haven't been there since I was a kid, but my picture, they put in one of these cases, and they had it in there, and it was of Shadow Cat and Spider-Man jumping through a portal.
Shadow Cat and
Spider-Man jumping through a portal. That's just what I had drew.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I won a competition with that, and I went there on a school trip. And it was like the most amazing thing where we got to see Marvel Masterworks at hand. So when I looked at your collection, I was like, wow.
That brought you through a portal.
Yeah, it took me back to my child. Like, I'm a big fan of art, and especially comic book art. So what you're doing is really amazing. So other than Stan Lee, is there anybody else that you would want to work with? Because I know there was, I forgot the dude's name, McLaren or something like that, the one who did the Spawn. Their artwork was amazing. McFarlane.
Yeah.
They did great artwork as well.
Yeah. McFarlane is one of those, you know, groundbreaking people, because he was part of the Image Comics.
Yes.
He was part of the founders, you know, and part of that, you know, momentum in creating like an indie-based kind of company, publisher.
Yeah.
You know, and I had the honor of like meeting him and working with one of his cover artists, who's also a Filipino artist. So you know, I got to work with one of his, you know, choice cover artists, Don Aguilo, and it's just dope, because like I'm in the industry, and it's like I could count them as peers and people that inspire me. Yeah, McFarlane would be somebody I would love to, you know, bring Bayani, you know, like the idea of it to him.
See, like, I look at your art style, and it's like a mix between both.
Yeah,
it's a
for
mix
sure.
between both Marvel and, you know, Image. Like, their artwork was so breathtaking when it first came out. But I will tell you, even back when they first came out, paying $3 and $4 for a comic book at that time was insane. But when you look at the work that they did, it was just amazing.
Yeah, imagine the hours that went into these books.
Yeah. Like, once I got to go in there and see how it worked, and I went to every room, I didn't realize there was a penciler, there's a penner, there's a painter, there's a writer, like
anchor, colorist,
a colorist. It's so many different jobs, and each person does something different. And it was amazing for me to see. And I always realized from that moment on, there's always somebody who does something totally different.
Right.
So in yours, do you have one person who does this, or?
So becoming like a first-time publisher, self-publisher, I realized there was so many other tasks, because I was the one hiring the people to make the comic, because I was the writer and creator, but I needed other people to do the jobs. So there was people that I would have do individual stuff, like the artist of the book would just draw the penciling, and then I would hire a colorist. But I also learned to combine and cut the costs by having people do two jobs. So I would have the artist, you know, do the art and coloring, and then I would pass it off to the letterer, you know?
Okay.
So it'd be like two people, you know, on the job.
So like, say a cover like this, do you write out how you want the cover to look? Or is it a process of back and forth? Like, hey, I want it to look like this, and they sketch something up, and you say, no, this way, that way. Are you like really hands-on with that?
Totally, every detail. To the finest detail, to a black fingernail, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
To the side of the jacket that the logo would be on, you know, the condition of the character's costume.
Okay.
Light, night and day, you know, like all these are essential details, because there's only so many times that you want an artist to go back to fixing the piece.
Yeah, because then it starts stretching their mind, and they start to change something that you might not want changed.
Yeah,
Okay, so there's all the aesthetics of it, and you're hands-on with that. That's beautiful.
totally.
So what was your experience debuting issue 1 of The Realist Bayani at New York Comic Con, and how has that series evolved since then? Because I've been wanting to ask you that question.
Yeah, so I started writing it in 2016. It took me till 2018 to complete issue 1, because I went through so many obstacles. Working with a lot of indie artists, you know, sometimes they're first-time illustrators. They've never done it, just like myself. I've never done it. And you go through the process and headaches of, you know, stumbling on, yo, I missed this detail. It's already printed. Like, I want to go back, like, and refix it. And then, you know, you have to go about, like, you know, oh, man, so wait a second. So the people that bought this book are going to have the errors inside the book, the misprints. And this, you know, before the editing happens or after the editing happens. So, I mean, it becomes like a learning, you know, a learning curve in terms of how you're going about the production of the comic book. But it took 2 years for the first issue.
So after that, you kind of worked out some of your kinks with how you
Totally.
go about it.
And you find who works with you best, you know, who doesn't like clash. You know, sometimes it could be an ego trip because artists may have a resume and they might charge a certain amount, you know? So, you know, there's people that work with your budget, you know, and there's people that break your budget at the same time too.
And sometimes you find out the person breaking your budget ain't the one that works good with you anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you're creating these stories, what is your thought process when you're scripting these stories?
It all, you know, like you can never really predict your productivity, you know, your creativity, your level of it, your output. Sometimes it might take a whole year, you know, and it all depends, like how focused are you? And like when it came to creating issue 6, like I've learned to flesh out the story before I go about writing the script, like outlining it first and seeing, all right, so what happened in the first story arc that I could loop back in this next issue and make sure that everything I wrote in this story arc is relevant to what I'm writing in this new one, you know? So I'm bringing Bayani on a whole journey along with all his supporting characters, and they start developing at the same time. Because, you know, you have Spider-Man and, you know, all his villains, and then, you know, 20 years later, people start finding that they love Venom way more, and Venom ends up being a character that becomes, you know, his own, you know,
Built his
persona.
own, yeah.
You know, he creates his own fandom.
Out of all your characters you created, what is one of your favorite characters that you're like, he wasn't intentionally meant to be this dope, and he just turned out to be amazing?
I would say, damn, that's really tough because there's so many characters I love. But I would say Lapu Lapu. Like, I didn't have him in the original first issue.
Okay.
And that was, and it's like crazy because it's like destiny that 2020 happened. Around 2020 was when I went about creating the Bayani Rebirth, which was the current canonical issue 1. It's the issue 1 that's, you know, issue 1 for sure. Like if you don't have this issue, then you might not know where everything happened with Marlon, you know, the protagonist.
Okay.
But Lapu Lapu really attracted so many more Filipino readers. It made it more, it gave it the identity of being a Filipino comic book. You know, because Bayani is a Filipino word. It's in Tagalog, it means national icon or hero or a person that sacrifices for their country.
Okay.
So Lapu Lapu was the first Bayani. And once I put him in, it was that ingredient that gave it that, like, I need this, I need more.
Well, you know, like I said, I grew up on comic books when we was kids. You know, misprints are more valuable than the actual correct one. So everybody who got the misprint, it's not a loss.
Nah, not totally not.
That's what you put out there.
It's
Like,
novelty.
yo, this novelty is the original, and it has more value. That misprint is, you always look for a misprint. Those was the best.
Yeah.
So as one of the artists, and we're switching subjects because we're gonna get back to this. One of the artists on the hit single Wet Bar, what did it mean for you to be part of such a culturally rich and energetic track at that moment?
Yeah, it was another aspect of, you know, God putting me in a place where there was purpose. Like me being a Filipino born in Sunset Park, which was a largely Latino neighborhood, it gave me that ability to rap in Spanish more than I rap in my own, you know, native, in my family's native language, you know? So I was able to kind of flex my Spanish ability because I was raised with Latino people, with Boricuas.
Now you threw me off when I met you because I was like, he looks like Hawaiian or something. And he's rapping in Spanish. And then you was like, I'm Philippine background. I was like, oh, okay, that's dope. But then, you know, you had a singing part on the song.
Yeah.
And then you actually jumped on the track with me,
Oh, right,
the
right.
criminology. And I had to stop the beat. I said, hold on. Well, this dude learn how to rap like this. And then you told me like a couple weeks later, like, yeah, I was born and raised in Sunset Park. And I was like, it showed on that track. So that was that was definitely a dope verse. You definitely came off on that. And I was like, wow, this dude got talent. But when you think about that song and what it did, you ended up rocking heavily with Legacy, and he ended up doing your
Voiceovers.
Your voiceover.
Yeah, for the audio comic. Yeah.
Who else did something for you there? CG?
TG, Thriller, Seek. Yeah, so those three made themselves available to come out, record, for some of the characters that needed some voices. And everyone really did their thing.
Like when I
It's their all first times.
And when
You
I
even
spoke-
had hit me up
yeah.
too.
When I tried to do something, I was like, yo, I could do a remote, send it to you and to make it. But Legacy was so hyped when he spoke about it on the interview.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you got to see that part. I got to put that part out for you guys. When he spoke about doing that voiceover for you, his eyes lit up. He was like, yo, this was one of the dopest things I could have done. He said I was nervous. And then he said, yo, he put me in a room with people who've done legendary work. So who were some of the people that you had do voiceovers with you?
So the people that were there were like his peers. We had Victorino there. He's never done it. Everyone was first timers there.
Okay.
There was Juan Batista. No relation to Dave Batista.
Okay.
But he also had a comic book called Demon Cop. There were other, but my engineer, Real Job Hassan, was a famous battle rapper.
Okay.
He had battled Jin back on the BET, Freestyle Fridays.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right. So he was our engineer. So he was helping do a lot of the soundscaping for the audio comic. But the other artists that were voiceovers was Earl Balon. He had worked on Tekken, the anime Bloodline.
That's what he was talking about.
Tomb Raider. He did a lot of different voiceover works. His resume is real.
So that's what Legacy was talking about right there.
Yeah.
That's dope. So if The Realest Bayani were adapted into a movie or animated series, who would you cast as the main characters?
So we currently are working on something. We have a narrative music video.
Okay.
It's similar to a proof of concept. And we actually casted people. My director is the director of Harlem.
Okay.
The show with Megan Good.
Yeah.
On Prime. They're actually debuting their new season on the 23rd. But Shay Vanderpoort and Steve Soriano are the directors of that video. And we casted people for the film, for for the narrative music video. We have a guy named Alex Benjamin, who plays Bayani, Marlon Ramos. He plays that character. And we have Issa Akira, Issa May Akira. She actually appeared in the Disney Plus show for Hawkeye as the Filipina Black Widow.
Okay.
Yeah, so she has a dope, little resume herself. She's also on other shows. She's a dope actress. We have Cynthia San Luis. She plays Mistina, who is the tribal priestess for Lapu Lapu. She's the matriarch of the Bayani logo that you see on the shirt. So the M on the superhero's mask is actually the tribal markings that come from the tribal priestess. They call them Babaylans. So the Babaylans were the spiritual leaders of the Filipino tribes. They were like almost the equals of the war chiefs. So they were spiritual leaders while the war chiefs were the strategic, physical representation of, the warriors of the tribes. Cynthia San Luis plays Mistina, and a friend of mine, Talilo, who's also a rapper from Portland, he went viral with a record called Big Flip. Talilo plays Lapu Lapu. Okay. So it was good timing because he started working out this year, so he looked, kind of cut up, but he also has all the Visayan body tattoos. So his whole body is tatted up, similar to our ancestors who were called the Pintados. Okay. So the Pintados were the painted ones. That's what the Spanish called the Filipinos when they first saw them. They were like, that's the Pintados. And, it was like 1,000 Manny Pacquiaos waiting on the beach for for the Spanish. Got you. But yeah, so we're on deck with creating that. So it's already in the works. Yeah. We're doing a couple. We're planning some film festival premieres.
Copy. So, what's one of the coolest or most unexpected feedbacks you receive from fans of your comic series?
Unexpected is like I inspire other people to want to create comic books. Like it's cool that, people like buy it and they're like, oh, this is so cool, I'm Filipino too. But people start wanting to create comic books also. And so I almost take, this role of guiding them through the process. And it's crazy because before I started, I was meeting other indie creators that were guiding me. So in the comic books industry, and in the indie scene, it's almost like you get big brothered in or big sistered in by other creatives, And I didn't expect to have that effect, but I would meet other Latinos, other Black creators that are like, yo, I've been working on this idea, can you help me, bring it along?
Now it's your turn to pay it
Facts.
forward.
I pay it forward, no charge, and it's just, a way of like passing on, that inspiration and that. So
it's like a dope community you guys built.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, the comic community.
So before we get out of here, tell us about the setup right here, like go down the line.
Oh yeah, so right here is a variant cover of issue 1. Okay. This is drawn by Jet Lab. It actually is not just Bayani, but it's every step of my artistry as an MC. I started off as Omen Child, Mark Marvel, and I became Bayani as like the final form. So this is like a illustration of my evolution. Right there is the graphic novel. It's drawn by Byron B. That contains all 5 issues of the Bayani series, so it's the first story arc. This was drawn during the Year of the Dragon last year, so that was one of the variant covers of our graphic novel. So you see this dragon here is the border of the book. Gotcha. And you see him eating the moon. The Bakunawa dragon was known to be like a god that takes form of a dragon and swallows the moon. It was a way of natives explaining the lunar eclipse. So that's our graphic novel. And here we have 2 different figures by Figure X. Figure X is an indie toy creator. Designer toys.
So did you have to do these in bulk, or you were able to get like?
I did them in bulk.
Okay.
And he handcrafts and sculpts them himself.
And then mass produces, or?
He does everyone by hand.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was our first one, and this was our current one in New York Comic Con.
That is dope.
Yeah.
So Before we get out of here, what does Bayani have coming next other than the video? What else do you got going on?
So right now, I'm focusing on this audio comic.
Okay.
We're gonna probably do a couple releases on YouTube as YouTube Shorts.
Okay.
So the audio comic brings in a lot of the voice actors and actresses, and it kind of gives personality behind the panels and, you know, the pages of the Realist Bayani comic book. And I also have a lot of music coming out. We're actually remastering the Bayani comics tape, comics with a K, mixtape, you know, in between, the
Gotcha.
Bayani comics tape. So, you know, a lot of music's on the way. Right.
Definitely. So tell everybody where they can reach you, where they can find you, and where they can order all of these dope magazines.
You can find me on Instagram at bayani.nyc. That's BAYANI .nyc on Instagram. If you're looking to purchase the books, it's www.savidesigns.nyc. To find the comic books, you could DM me or check out the website.
There we go. I appreciate you, my brother. I'm glad to have you.
Yes.
I told you I wasn't ducking you. I just had to make sure we get it
Nah,
right.
I never believed
Now, because I
that.
seen the Bayani signal over my crib, I was like, yo, we got to get him up here.
Bayani!
Welcome back to Crash the Industry, and tonight on Crash the Industry, we're turning the spotlight on a rising star who's redefining what it means to blend genres and tell authentic stories through music. Meet Nyasia Chanel, a dynamic singer, songwriter, and actress hailing from Fallsburg in the Catskills region of upstate New York. With a style she's coined as neo-hip-hop soul, Nyasia masterfully weaves the timeless essence of R&B with vibrant sounds of pop, hip-hop, and Afro-Caribbean rhythms. Inspired by icons like Etta James, Mary J. Blige, Ashanti, and Beyonce, she creates music that's as diverse as it is heartfelt, bridging generations with her powerful storytelling from sultry ballads to high-energy grooves. Nyasia Chanel is on a mission to elevate the culture, one unforgettable track at a time. Let's dive into her journey and see how she's crashing the industry her way. How you doing?
Hi.
So, after like 4 years of hearing about you, I finally got to meet you at, what was that, OS? Mm-hmm. And like I said, when I met you, I said, would you believe my neighbor told me about you in like 2020? When I first moved up there, we talked, me and Neil, and he's like, you got a record label? You have to hear about this girl. Her name is Nyasia. And he showed me an Instagram, and that was in 2020.
Oh my God.
And then years later, I run into your cousin, and he's like, yo, you manage artists? And I was like, yeah. He was like, you ever heard of my cousin? So it's been like, we were supposed to meet at some point.
Everything has its own defined timing. So, you know, everything happens for a reason. But shout out to y'all for, you know, rooting on Nyasia now. I appreciate that because, wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, so when we was at OS, your manager, Dida, walks up to me like, I was on the phone with your wife. I was like, I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, nah, I manage Nyasia. She's over here. So it was great to meet you in person. And I think that helped us expedite getting you on the show because it's always better when you meet somebody, you know, all right, this is a good person.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Your hip-hop genre, neo-hip-hop soul, is such a unique blend. What inspired you to create this fusion, and how does it reflect your personal story?
Ooh, that's a great question. I've always just grown up listening to different sounds of music, so I guess it's always just been around me, you know? So when I started making music, that was originally the start of it. Like I started off making like an Afrobeat kind of vibe, dance hall kind of vibe, but I knew where my heart was. My heart was always R&B, loved the hip hop, loved the R&B. So I was just like, it's only right that I incorporate it into my own sound just because I love it so much. So, yeah.
That's dope. Like, you do have a sound that, if your team doesn't mind, I could pair you with my producer, Jay King, because he has this Afro beats vibe that he calls it Afro trap, and it's such a dope sound. And like, when I seen you perform, and I called my wife, I said, yo, I just seen Nyasia perform. She said, how'd she do? I was like, yo, she killed it. She was like, all right, cool. And I was like, you got to see it for yourself. So we had to get you up here.
Okay, shout out wifey.
So you mentioned iconic artists like Etta James and Mary J. Blige as inspirations. How have you shaped your approach to music and storytelling?
Ooh, I guess because they've paved the way for us. So it was only right that my music emulates that just because I love to tell stories. And I feel like that's just the best way for me to be able to connect to the audience and to the people, because if you don't got nothing to talk about, then, why are you doing it?
You're just putting words together.
Yeah, you just put words together. So for me, I really want to just intrigue the listener, whenever they're listening, like, okay, she's always talking about something, you know what I'm saying? And that's just my goal, is just to always be relatable as possible as I'm, navigating through my journey and my ways of life. I just think it's just best to just try to emulate that as possible.
Cool. So, music is such a powerful medium for storytelling. How do you decide which stories to tell, and what message do you hope to resonate most with your listeners?
Honestly, my writing process goes based upon the beat, because sometimes the beat just writes itself. And that's really just how I try to just navigate it through. Whether if I'm going through something that day, I might have something on my heart and I'm just like, I need to lay this down. And I'll hear the beat and then I'll just put it together. Or I might have something already written and, I'll hit up one of my producers. Shout out to Balby, shout out Devo. Those are just two of the many few that I work with. But I'll give them an idea. I'll be like, yo, here's a melody, here's a harmony, here's something I created. Can you make a beat to it? And then they'll, follow through with that. So it just depends on what I'm feeling like, what I'm going through at the time.
So what is one of the craziest stories you've crafted in one of your songs, and how close was it to truth?
Whew, I have a couple records that resonated with truth, but I would say my one song, Midsummer Dream. I feel like that song, I kind of predicted my future before it happened, because I created that song before I had gone through a situation. And as I sat back and I thought about it, and I'm like listening to the song again, I'm like, oh my gosh, I done predicted this. This is crazy. The tongue is powerful. I'm like, oh my gosh. A little nervous, but at the same time, it's really cool because I'm like, wow, I kind of spoke to myself in a way which made it a little bit more comforting, that I was able to realize what I was going through and to be able to express it in the best way possible.
They say when you put it into the atmosphere, it can actually happen. Mm-hmm. Affirmation is confirmation. Mm-hmm. So that's probably one of those things you went through.
Yeah.
And that's dope. I look forward to listening to that song.
Mm-hmm.
So, your sound bridges generations and genres. How do you balance staying true to your R&B roots while embracing modern influences?
Well, I always just try to stay up to date, of course, with what's going on currently. But I feel like from seeing what's going on, everybody's always going back to listening, whether it's sampling, whether it's, adapting some of the styles from back then. Everyone always goes back. So I feel like me as an artist, it's only right that I educate myself on all the music that was created before me and just trying to just keep that narrative going, because that's where we got started. It's only right to pay homage to what was laid out before me. So I just always am just trying to figure out new ways to connect with people, but also just trying to stay true to myself, because I genuinely love making music. Whether nobody hears it or a million people hear it, I'm just happy about the whole process. I love creating, I love making up different sounds and making, different ways with my voice and stuff. So the whole process is just super cool for me.
I see you get bubbly about it when you
I
talk
do,
about making
I love
music.
it. I be like, yes. Some songs are a little like, I be in there like, I don't want to do this song. And then he'd be like, I don't care, let's go. And I'm like, all right, fine. And we'll get it done.
Like you said, everything goes back. Mm-hmm. So I got into it. I'm gonna give away a secret that I don't normally tell people. But normally with my artists, when they like, yo, I want to sample this song, and I listen to the song, it'll be something from the 90s or even the 80s, and I'm like, nah, that's a sample from the 60s or 70s. And they were like, how you found this? How you know? 'Cause my pops is a DJ, so I go back, I'll go get the original. So we only have to pay one person, not 2, 3, and 4 people. Just pay the one to the estate that owns the, so that's what I normally do when I'm in there.
Shout out to Pops though, because my dad's a DJ too. That's what honestly, he helps me stay grounded, because he'll be like, same thing, same scenario. I'll be like, oh, Dad, here's this song. He's like, oh, no, that came from this person. I'm like, what? How you know that? And he's always like educating himself on like new, different things, and he's always like researching things. That's why I'm grateful for Pop. Shout out to my dad.
Shout out to the Pops. As a multifaceted artist who also acts and writes songs, how do those different creative outlets influence each other when you're working?
I don't really feel like it's a difference, honestly, just because I feel like I just naturally gravitate towards it. Like I'm a dramatic person as is, so I feel like both of those entities kind of intertwine with my personality
Help
as
you create.
is. Yeah, so it's like I can just turn on a character like at any moment. I could just be, hello, how are you, and then I just pop out and then I just start talking regular. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a part of just my personality. I don't know. I guess I get to just live in multiple universes and create my own different personalities and stuff.
So
That's the
Nyasia
perks
lives
of
in
being
her own world.
I'm in my own world. Okay, I'm a Pisces. Shout out to all the Pisces. We be in our own bubble. We really do. Like, I'll be at a club, they'll be talking to me, I'll be in my own world. I'll be like, oh, did I leave the stove on? What's happening? And then like some people, they'll see my face, they're like, why you look mad? I'm like, I'm not mad, I'm just thinking about a whole bunch of other things right now. I'm not even thinking about, what's going on right now. Sometimes I be in and out.
Doing too much sometimes.
Yeah.
So the music industry can be challenging, especially for independent artists. What's been the biggest lesson you've learned on your journey so far?
Patience is key, and to remain humble always, because nothing is guaranteed, nothing is promised. I think me being humble keeps me grounded. You know what I'm saying? Especially with reality, with my life, with everything going on. Like, I'm just so appreciative and grateful for every experience that I have. Even this is like, I'm over here like, oh my God, I love it. Like, I'm just super grateful for me even getting to this point, meeting all the people that I've met so far. I'm excited to just see where I am. So I'm just practicing that, being patient. Everything has its own defined timing. How we met, we needed time for that to marinate, so now we have some substance to talk about.
Absolutely. So on your journey, what artists have you came across that you're like, I met this person, now I really want to work with this artist?
Oh man, I really wanted to work with DMX. I met him, and backstage, he literally was the same person. Like there was no on and off. You know how some people that have like an alter ego and they'll be like, and they're a different person. He was literally like that the whole time.
Rest in peace to X.
Yeah, rest in peace to DMX. But I really wanted to work with him just because I just loved his energy. Like, he's just so genuine and so, what do I say? His relationship with God is what made me more gravitated towards him too, because I feel like I have the same thing. Everybody has their own different relationships when it comes to that, but I feel like for me, that's just my main thing. I'm always just like, thank you, God. God is good. Anytime anything happens, I'll be like, and I get out of the situation, I'll be like, God is good, because it's like that. So I would say DMX. Who else have I met? Cash Cobain. I would love to work with Cash Cobain. I met him. Okay. He's definitely a vibe, but I feel like he taps into different sounds, different samplings and stuff like that. I know.
So doing a song with you might be up his alley.
Yeah, that's why I told him. I said, listen, if you need a hook, hit your girl up. Like, I do this. You know what I'm saying? I do a little, hey, that's what he be doing.
So you said something that caught my attention, and you mentioned you gravitated to X because of his relationship with God. How does God help you stay grounded in your music?
In so many different ways, because when I'm going through things, that's the first person I talk to, and that's the first person I look for guidance. I be like, oh my God, I'm hurting right now. God, give me a sign. What should I do? Where should I go? What do I do first? And I'll be like, give me the sign. If you give me a sign right now, I'll leave it alone. And he'll give me a sign. And sometimes, when you're going through life, I think for me as a Pisces, like, I really believe in people's potential. And sometimes I get stuck in that, where I'll be like, I'll ride with you till the wheels fall off until you do something totally out of order, and I just can't stand beside you no more, So that's really my whole thing, is like, I speak with him so fluently that it's not even like, you know, how some people say like, oh, you know, on Sundays, that's when they go to worship him. I worship him every second of the day because you just never know. Like you could walk out, you could, you know, life is so short. So I just feel like me having that relationship with him always makes me feel connected. So if it's not for me, hey, he know what to do best.
Have you ever been in a moment where you said, I need God, or I think I'm gonna quit doing this music?
I never had that moment yet. I never had a moment where I thought about quitting, just because I feel like my connection with music isn't really to, my main goal isn't to get notoriety. Of course I would love to be known for what I do best, but I really just use music as my escape. It's my ear when no one's listening. You know what I'm saying? It's just a place where I could just be me and lay it all out on the line, and I could just be like, whew. You know, it's my therapist. It's my therapy. You know, like I could just be like, oh man, I went through this. All right, cool. We went through that. We did that already. All right, what we on to next? Where we at? Where we at in life? You know, so that's just really where I am right now.
So what's one piece of advice you would give an up-and-coming artist right now who's facing that moment whether they're gonna keep going or stop?
I say, do what you love always. Do not pay attention to the noise because it's just noise. If this is what you love to do, always make sure you stay on course. You stay on the purpose. Find your purpose, one. Stick to it. Don't let nobody derail you from what you envision for yourself because you only got one life. So it's like, why I'm listening to you? You already lived your life. I want to do it my way, you know, and I'm going to figure it out. I might bump my head a couple times. You're going to bump your head a couple times. It's life, you know. You just have to understand that it might not happen right away, but it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It's just going to happen in its own timing. So you just got to be patient. Stay the course, mind your business, and stay humble, yeah.
So we've gotten to a lot of things, and you have a lot of things going on, and there's something that you and your manager mentioned. You mentioned the wine. So tell us about this wine that you have.
Ooh, yes. Shout out to Keisha Chanel. We collaborated for my record. It's called Rain. And I was sitting there, and me and my team were like, yo, we need something that's gonna, you know, just keep this song going, single going, everything that's going with it. We got so much love for the record. Shout out to SiriusXM. They was showing my records so much love on SiriusXM. Pandora, you know, whatever, they was just rocking with it. So I'm like, dang, we gotta figure out something. So my manager knows I love wine. I love me a sweet wine. I'm tapping into different, you know, different flavors of the wine and stuff like that. But for this one, we decided to go with Rain, and we got it out. It's out now. www.nyaciachanel.com, or you can go on nyaciachanelwines.com and get it. $20. Get your wine, you know, sip. Let me know what you think about it, and yeah.
So we definitely gonna check that out.
Yes.
And after this, we're gonna get into her single, Rain. And I look forward to seeing you perform, and I know you will enjoy it.
I'm excited.
Nice having you up here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Nyasia Chanel. I'm about to perform my song, Rain. Make sure you guys go get that wine from me. Let's go. Yeah. Say. Focus, baby.
you to just rain on me. Take your time with me, no. Rain on me. And if I beg you, please fulfill my fantasy. Rain on me. Take your time.
Thank you guys so much. Now we're about to get into an exclusive, okay? Only on Crash the Industry, I'm singing my single, L-Lean. Let's go.
Why do I try? Why do I try? All it took was 2 seconds to let me know what you got going on in your head. Can you deal with resentment? What you gonna do with that if I don't come running back? No. You gon' be sick to your stomach, punching the air. Give it one view perspectives, like the proof ain't right there. You gon' be sick to your stomach, punching the air. Thinking, how could she catch it? 'Cause the proof is right there, right there. Oh, oh, oh. Proof is right there. Oh, oh. The proof is right there. Oh, no. Proof is right there. So, I got a question for you. Do you think I'm stupid? Do I got it written on my face? I'll be too caught up in my music to witness all your sneaky ways, trying to avoid the case, yeah. I'm running out of sunny days, oh yeah. You supposed to be my happy place, so no, I don't wanna hear that shit. I'm sick of it, how you gon' deny that it ain't what it is? She posted up with you like y'all more than friends, with benefits, this ain't making sense. No, are you serious right now? It's just ain't making sense. Tell me the truth, tell me the truth. Won't be sick to your stomach, punching the air. When you see someone else love me, 'cause you never played fair. You'll be sick to your stomach, punching the air. 'Cause I left you with nothing but regret and despair, despair. Oh, whoa, whoa. The proof is right there. It's right there, 'cause the proof is right there. Oh, no. Regret and despair.
Thank you guys.
It's your Filipino street hero, Bayani, live at Crash the Industry TV. You know the tribe. Represent Filipinos across the diaspora, from New York City to Metro Manila. This is music coming straight from the Bayani comics tape, releasing February 5th, 2025. It's for the tribe, you heard? Hey, let's go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know the tribe. Hey, hey. I swing the bolo everywhere I go though. I perform like a pro, so nothing's pro bono. Lord of the Rings and I ain't Frodo. I'm an Afro-Filipino just without the Frodo. Ha, you already know though. In the DM with my youngin' scene. Cool, you inspire me. Undeniably, move with ancestors guiding me. When I see God, I say finally. I'ma see God bringing flows and variety. Secret societies got their eye on me like I'm prodigy. Swing the bolo with my foes, eyes glowing fiery. Roll, got a dynasty that'll die for me. $7,000 behind me, yeah, I got my tribe with me. I swing the bolo everywhere I go though. Going lapu lapu on you, you already know though. I might take your soul with me, now you never know though. My bloodline been the realest since my great Lolo. Hey. Swing the bolo everywhere I go though. Going lapu lapu on you, you already know though. I might take your soul with me, now you never know though. My bloodline been the realest since my great Lolo. So y'all learning some Filipino tonight. That was Lolo, which means grandfather. This song is called Anak, which means child. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got a son and a daughter, that's Anak now. Hey, hey. I got a son and a daughter, that's Anak now. Hey. 100 on the dash when I pull up to the block now. Doors of opportunity, yeah, got a knock now. Got a son, got a daughter, yeah, I got a knock now. That means child in Tagalog. Yeah, I'm a pop now. So hip hop, they can't say I'm going pop now. New York gritty, grimy, going try me and get knocked out. Cook my own beef like Korean K-pop now. Thinking out the box like politics for Pac, yeah. Jay-Z kinda hustle someone they can't knock now. Plus I'm building an empire nobody can knock that. Now they wanna chill, wanna build like business partners. In the big picture, crop your head off, get you chopped out. Got the graphic novel without Marvel, that's a lot now. And you know the speakers really gon' knock now. Used to feel bad when I was a college dropout, but I know my history, I know me know a lot. 100 on the dash when I pull up to the block now. Doors of opportunity, yeah, got a knock now. Got a son, got a daughter, yeah, I got a knock now. That means child. Yeah, I'm a pop now. Know the plug and connect, wait until we pop now. Champagne in the bottle, shake it, let it pop now. When I son a rapper, better call him my knock now. Like Hijo but in Filipino, that's a knock now. You know the music really gon' knock now. Grim Reaper parked out front with the top down. People clap, bodies drop, whoa, someone shot there. Brown eyes with my eyebrows like a rock now. 100 on the dash when I pull up to the block now. Doors of opportunity, yeah, got a knock now. Got a son, got a daughter, yeah, I got a knock now. That means child, yeah, I'm a pop now. I'm a pop now. Got a son and a daughter, that's a knock now. Hey. Hey, I got a knock now. That's a son and a daughter, that's a knock now. Hey, 100 on the dash when I pull up to the block now. Doors of opportunity, yeah, got a knock now. Got a son, got a daughter, yeah, I got a knock now. That means child in Tagalog, now you really learn now. That's a knock now. Got a son and a daughter, that's a knock now. A knock, that's a knock now. I got a son and a daughter, that's a knock now. The hood they call a Knox as well. So what we talking about tonight is destiny. I'm a Filipino American born in New York City. The wildest dreams of my ancestors. Born in the Mecca and creating breeding grounds of New York City for hip hop culture. We gonna take this across from coast to coast. Hey, Kismet. Hey, 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 what you doing up in LA with Filipinos and essays? When I'm writing like, when my brain's like English major essays. Turn it up on a wave, turn it up on a wave. Burn it up, I burn it up like vampires in the day. From the Empire States, kilograms of that love, you're a byproduct hate. Can't stop me too late. My momentum monumental, I'm great. Made it here, manifested by faith. That's destiny, faith. Isn't it like, isn't it like, isn't it like Kismet when we met, yeah. That's destiny, that's destiny, that's destiny, faith, yeah. Isn't it like, isn't it like, isn't it like Kismet when we met, yeah. That's destiny, that's destiny, that's That's destiny, yeah. That's destiny, yeah. Skywalk in the clouds, transitioning plans. JFK to the switch up location change. Can't catch me in traffic when I'm out of your range. Can't tell you where I'm at, that's paranoia in my brain. Chase the people, don't run, I'm moving at my own pace. I learned wild ways in the sun, how to dance in the rain. I learned wild ways in the sun, how to dance in the rain. I learned wild ways in the sun, how to dance in the rain. Isn't it life? Isn't it life? Isn't it like it's met where we met? Yeah, that's destiny. That's destiny. That's destiny. Yeah. Isn't it like? Isn't it like? Isn't it like it's met where we met? Yeah, that's destiny. That's destiny. That's destiny, yeah. That's destiny, yeah. Kismet is the Hebrew word for destiny, fate. In Arabic, it means Allah's will. Everything you do, everyone you meet, is with purpose. God designates it. Nothing you do is random. You know the tribe. Bayani comics say. Crash the industry.
New York, what's up, New York? Listen, we in New York, right?